Do you see this Antarctica? Even though it's standing there all alone, minding its own business, people have created 1,000 different stories about it. I don't know if it's a base for aliens, if the American CIA is testing secret weapons, and their most famous ridiculous conspiracy theory is that this is the end of the world. The Earth is flat, and Antarctica is a wall that prevents us from falling off. Of course, we shouldn't call this place the South Pole, because the South Pole refers to the southernmost point on the Earth's globe, which is located on this continent. We should actually call this place Antarctica. You've surely heard of it, the coldest, windiest. Antarctica, the driest and harshest continent on Earth. Antarctica is not only the driest landmass on Earth but also the harshest continent. It is so extremely dry that humans cannot survive here without advanced technology. In fact, most living organisms cannot survive in this environment, not just humans. You might wonder, what kind of creatures actually live here? The wildlife in Antarctica is primarily concentrated along its coasts. Penguins are the most famous inhabitants, but various seals and whales also thrive in the surrounding waters, with killer whales being one of the most prominent species. Let me digress for a moment. Would you believe that some of these seals? Now, let's imagine taking a trip to Antarctica to explore what's there. As we travel across the continent, we don't find much out of the ordinary except for some peculiar structures that look like they're straight out of a sci-fi movie. After some investigation, we learn that these were built by humans, not by penguins or extraterrestrial beings. But joking aside, why are these research stations designed this way? Why does everything resemble space stations? The structures are built in various innovative designs, almost as if they're meant for life in space. They fit together like a puzzle. The group of humans who came to this land and said, "Let's build a shelter here," were the Scots. That was in the year 1903 AD. The Scots didn't really believe this place would suit them, but they said, "We'll build a shelter, maybe we'll return and use it." They said, "Well, what should we build our shelter with? With snow and ice?" To solve this problem, they went to that point, a point which is essentially a rocky island where you can quarry stone. There, on that same island, with the stones that were there, they built a shack. That shack became the first base in Antarctica. So, they built this place and left. You might not believe it, but they didn't return for 50 years. Until finally, another group came, this time, the British. The British came to this part of Antarctica and built a base. They named it Halley. They built Halley like an ordinary building, bringing bricks and wood from other places and constructing this building here, which is just like any other building anywhere in the world. They thought Antarctica was like the rest of the world and that any building could be built. But as the years passed, they saw their building was being buried in the snow. It was as if it was sinking into the snow, but it wasn't sinking. Snow accumulated around it, wouldn't melt, and its thickness kept increasing more and more. So much so that 13 years after the construction of this building, in 1968, Halley was buried up to its neck in snow. They were forced to abandon this place and go build somewhere else. After this experience, the British realized this is a different world and can't be treated like other places on Earth. That's why they called their engineers and said, "Think of something, design buildings that won't get buried in snow like this." They designed a steel tube that resembles an airplane fuselage. This design didn't work either because after a few years it faced the same problem, as it sank deeper into the snow each year. In short, after these failures, they understood that a building that is stationary and fixed in one place doesn't work. They had to build a building that was movable. But they needed large spaces. Large buildings can't be moved. So, they used space stations as a model and set about designing structures that are in pieces and connect together like a puzzle to form one large building. They then built this and named it Halley 6. Halley 6 is not only built in pieces, but its legs are also each a powerful hydraulic jack that can lift the building up to 4 meters. Under the jacks are plates that act like skis, so they can drag it on these legs. Of course, not with trucks or vans and such, but with powerful tractors. Sometimes, when they need to traverse certain areas, they hitch several of these tractors together. Of course, these buildings are built in pieces so they can easily drag them one by one, not all at once. That simply isn't feasible. These jacks also have another important function. And it should be mentioned that it doesn't snow much in Antarctica, but it does snow. Whenever it snows, the technicians go outside. They lift each jack one by one, meaning the weight of the building shifts onto the other jacks. Then, they tamp down, compact, and fill the area under the one jack they lifted, and place the jack back down. They do this for each jack one by one. This is also why these jacks never get buried in the snow. If they don't do this, these jacks get stuck under the snow turns to ice, and freeing them becomes a very difficult task. Of course, it's not like they have to shake them every day or even every month. The last time they moved Halley 6 was in 2019, 6 years ago. It's fine for now, meaning they don't need to move it. The reason for moving it then was that a large crack had formed beneath them, and they felt a huge piece of Antarctica might break off. Because of this, they dragged it 23 kilometers towards the north. Now you might say, how many people are here? Why did they build so many buildings? They've lined them up like a train, one after the other. Why? You should know that between 65 and 70 people live in Halley 6, all of them scientists, specialists, engineers, and such. And this train-like line you see here has very thick walls full of insulation. You might not believe it, but the thickness of the walls of these rooms is 2 meters and 20 centimeters. The floor, ceiling, and walls all within these 2 meters and 20 centimeters are filled with insulation so the cold doesn't penetrate inside. 2 of these rooms, that are called modules, as they call them, their job is solely energy production, water production, and waste disposal. Music, there are several diesel generators inside there, with tanks containing special diesel fuel because regular diesel freezes there and is unusable. These generate electricity. Then they have machines that take the snow beneath them and produce fresh water. On the other hand, underneath them is a tank that collects their waste. And to prevent Antarctica from being polluted, a waste and disposal aircraft comes. It loads their trash and also pumps their lab waste into its tanks, removes it from Antarctica, and takes it away. Of course, it should be mentioned that all bases in Antarctica do this. One of the strict laws there is that any country that establishes a base there must remove its sewage and waste from the area and take it away. You see the windows of these capsules. We think it's glass or plastic, but it's neither, because glass and plastic are not good insulators. That's why the windows here are made with a special, thick gel called nanogel, which is an extremely effective insulator. It's thick, but you can see through it beautifully, and it's as if it doesn't have much thickness. When nanogel came to Antarctica, it was an expensive, highly advanced technology, but today it has reached a point where we even use nanogel in the windows of tall skyscrapers. These windows cause the cost of heating and cooling the inside of these buildings to drop significantly. Because when a place is properly insulated, the AC shouldn't have to work 24/7 consuming electricity, and the heater shouldn't have to work 24/7 to heat it. For example, the Burj Khalifa is located in Dubai. Its entire body appears to be glass, but it's not glass. It looks like glass. It's nanogel. If it were glass, in that heat the AC would have to work at maximum capacity from morning till night, but nanogel has solved this problem. Well, let's return to Antarctica. This Halley base we just told you about belongs to the UK, but what do other countries have? What do they do with this cold and their buildings getting buried? A bit further away, on that point, on an island, the Brazilians built this base, Comandante Ferraz. This island they went to is a place without ice, and it doesn't snow that much there. So, they can fix the building to the ground permanently, and that's what they did. Music, the South Koreans came to this part of Antarctica and built the Jangbogo station. This Jangbogo is also built in this shape and is a place that doesn't need to be moved. Music, India has also come here and built this, Buradi. Each base is built according to the conditions of that region of Antarctica. In short, 32 countries have bases in Antarctica. Bases for meteorology, astronomy, geology, climate change, and such things. Those who travel to and from Antarctica are either engineers, scientists, geologists, astronomers, meteorologists, and a percentage also come as tourists to see this place and leave. The most famous of them is Mr. Beast, who made his video from there, and it now has 242 million views. So, how much would it cost for us to take a trip there? Travel to Antarctica is considered luxury, hence it's expensive. It starts from about $7,500 per person and can go up to $25,000. The $25,000 one is very luxurious. They give you a comfortable room, good food, and, more importantly, various specialists come, take you on special vehicles, and show you the interesting places in that area. How long is this trip? Between 10 to 14 days. Of course, ordinary people don't pay all that money to go there. Everyone who goes has a reason. Some want to film, like Mr. Beast. Some want to have traveled to all continents. Some, like Goran Krop, whose clip is on YouTube, like to go and test themselves against hardships.